Good morning, happy Monday, another day at the factory here. Thought I'd give you guys a little update. Things are speeding up a little bit here. We're about 1 week in. Just wanted to show you guys a few things on quality here, some of the inspections that we do. This is a table of parts that we have rejected before building bikes. So there's several quality control processes here. One is at the factory of origin when these things are built. The fork, for example, those are examined before they ship out. And then when they get to here where we assemble them, we examine them again. That's called entry inspection. We comb out any parts that have been damaged in shipping or were missed by the first inspection. Inspected here and pulled out. And then when they're built, they're always inspected. And finally, completely assembled, there is a final inspection. I'll show you guys that later. But let's see just a few of these parts, why they were rejected, mostly cosmetic issues. There is a cross-threaded screw. There's a chip right there in the front. Major issue with the finish right there. See a scratch on that one. And there's some other parts as well. We're working with our suppliers to improve that on every single part. Now here's a couple bikes that were inspected and did not pass inspection. So this one, for example, has a chip on it. You can't even really see it, just the tiniest thing. So tiniest little paint chip on this one. It will not pass our inspection. Unfortunately, this bike got fully built. It may have been damaged during building or just missed at the beginning, but that's the reason why we have the quality check, so that we can check over the whole bike and make sure it's perfect when it goes out to you. Some more completed bikes there recently checked. So behind me is a growing parking lot full of Babymaker IIs, which have been completely assembled, completely inspected, and are ready to ship out to you if you've made your Babymaker II order. I just wanted to show you really quickly how we do our inspection. We go from top to bottom and from front to back on this thing. Starting with the handlebars, we're making sure that everything is secure on here. The bar ends are there, the grips are tight. Super critical that the brake levers are tight. You don't want those moving when you're riding at 25 plus miles per hour. The brake cable, there's no kinks in that, no issues on either brake cable. You definitely don't want that for long-term issues. Okay, we're gonna test the brake function. Okay, there's no movement from either wheel. When we put our full weight into this thing, no movement. That's the Magura hydraulic disc brakes, and they work well. Okay, the display will turn that on, and also check to make sure it's secure, and it's super secure, not going anywhere. Okay, the handlebars aren't going to rotate forward. We're looking down the index of the center of the handlebars, that lines up exactly with the wheel. That needs to be a perfect perpendicular angle right there. Okay, we're going to lift this wheel up and look down it, make sure that it's not askew, there's no wobble, and also that there's no noise from a rubbing front disc brake, okay? When we lift it up, we're also going to check that the handlebars can rotate freely. If the headset is too tight, they will not rotate freely, and it won't be a pleasant riding experience, okay? If the stem is too loose, however, the handlebars can rotate, and you don't want those going askew when you're riding, so we'll pinch the wheel here and put some force into the handlebars. Make sure they will not rotate, okay? Another check for that headset is we will rotate the wheel about 90 degrees, grab the front brake, and push forward and backwards, seeing if there's any rock in this headset. So there's absolutely no movement from this headset. If it's too loose, the headset will knock forwards and knock backwards. And most people don't notice that when they adjust the stem. Super common issue if you do take the stem off your bike, and this is one way to check for that. Okay? From here, we're going to do a cosmetic check over the body of the bike. We're looking for any blemishes, scratches, issues with the paint, and also checking that all of the hardware is properly installed, that it's not missing and not loose either. We're checking also the cable ties, which have organized the cables in certain spots, that the brake calipers are tight. I'm going to check the tension on this front quick release, even though this will be taken off for packaging. The front reflector is there. There's no blemishes on the front wheel or the rear wheel, the rim in particular. Okay, left crank looks good, kickstand looks good, and the kickstand is installed at a proper angle. The bolts on the kickstand are good. Rear motor cable is good. Calipers are good. Adjusting screw is good. Same thing in the back. There are 2 bolts here where the frame actually splits to get the belt in. Those are correct. Now, each of these nuts holding the rear axle in, we actually check those with a torque wrench. They need to be at 45 Newton meters of force. There are 5 bolts here on the chain ring, checking that those are not loose, and also doing our cosmetic check here on the frame. We're looking at the wires that come out here for the speed sensor and the motor wire, that those are correct. There's nothing loose, nothing that's going to rub against the wheel or the rear disc. I'm going to check the rear wheel just like we did the front. Okay, no disc noise, and it is free and correct. The front rim is good, front wheel, front fork, everything looks good. I like to touch it because you might be able to find like a surface imperfection here. And it's just a beautiful bike. It wants to be touched, okay? We'll bump it up to level 5 here and do a test of the motor. So just the lightest finger pressure here. We're gonna get that wheel spinning. And we're listening to the motor for any abnormal sounds. It is whisper quiet, you can't even really hear it in here. We're also checking the speed. It needs to be with just a finger worth of power on here. So gentle, above 20. This is hitting 23 miles an hour with just one finger. Really awesome. The other thing here that's super critical, because it does have the Gates carbon belt drive, the tension on this needs to be just right so that it's loose enough to reduce friction as much as possible, but also tight enough so that it's not going to slip when you're pushing with all your force up a hill. And that sweet spot is between 40 and 45 pounds of pressure. So we'll use a special gauge from Gates called a cricket gauge and push it on here. We'll rotate this 90 degrees, do it again, 90, do it again, 90, do it again. That needs to be between 40 and 45 pounds of pressure, okay? And that's about it from memory anyways. But this is why we have a checklist, and the same reason why pilots have a checklist as well. You do the things you can from memory first, and then go through the checklist one by one and check these off. This one has already been done, everything passed. I would agree with that assessment. Of course, we want to be very thorough here and make sure that nothing was missed from my poor memory. So that's our pre-packaging checklist. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like these videos and want to see more of them, please hit that subscribe button, like and comment. And if you haven't yet, go and order your Babymaker II. It's really a beautiful, beautiful bike. You're gonna love it. I'll see you in the next one.